A couple disclaimers before this video begins.
Number one, this review is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie and don't want to be spoiled in anything, don't watch this video. There's just no way for me to talk about this movie without spoiling it, and I want to talk about the spoilers and the juicy bits of this movie. So, also, second thing, my experience with this movie is going to be different than most because, as I've talked about before in my other two videos, I saw this movie in a 4DX theater, and if you don't know what 4DX means, pretty much the seats move to the action of the movie. And there's also bursts of air and some occasional mist. It's meant to be an immersive theater experience. And for an anime, specifically Dragon Ball movie, boy was it an immersive experience. Also, first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to that kid, that jovial, ignorant little kid who reacted to the first trailer of this, him having no idea the amazing experience he would have seeing this movie in theaters. Hope you're doing well, man. But yes, this past Thursday, I went with my brother and saw Dragon Ball Super Superhero at a 4DX theater. It was a intense, amazing, just awesome experience overall. As I've been talking about forever now, I am now here with my review of this movie. I'm going to try as best as I can to go in depth with just everything I thought about this movie and just not necessarily a play-by-play, but just what I thought about the big things overall. I guess the first thing I'll get into is, Piccolo. Wow. The trailers for this movie are very deceiving, and just the plot and everything overall, because it makes you seem like you figured it would have been the other way around with how the trailers made it seem, with that Gohan was going to be like the main focus with Piccolo being there, but it was the other way around. This movie was Piccolo's movie. Like, Piccolo was definitely the main character. And Gohan, while he played an important role, he was definitely just a supporting character in this movie. This movie was started, I knew it was going to be a great thing when it just started with an opening narration be like, some of you have been around long enough to know the story of the Red Ribbon Army and everything, and just showing reanimated footage of Goku fighting the Red Ribbon Army, everything with Cell and the androids. It's like, oh man. It's so easy. Like, pretty much everything since Superstars, like, there's been reanimated stuff showing what's happened before, and it's just so easy to just capture that hype again. I guess right away, this is my only nitpick I'd say I have for the movie. I mean, I have a couple nitpicks here and there, but in terms of like one, I'd say gripe, I guess, is the first opening minutes, setting up Dr. Hedo, Magenta, Carmine, just the Red Ribbon pharmaceutical company. It was a lot of setup. It was, the first 10 minutes of the movie, it was pretty long. That was the only part I'd say where it really dragged for me. Again, it's stuff that has to happen just because, you gotta explain just where these characters came from, just how they've all been around, the fact that Magenta is Commander Red's son, and then Dr. Hedo is Dr. Giro's grandson? Like, they showed the family tree of Dr. Giro, first of all, showing that, like, pretty much absolutely canonizing 21. Obviously, maybe not canonizing Majin and Evil 21 from Fighters, but the name that it showed for her, I think it was like Vima? Or something like that. I was like, that was cool. Because my brother, like, leaned over to me one, but it's like, oh, that's the chick from the game. I'm just like, yep, it's 21. So, like, when I rethought about it later, I was like, oh, does that mean that dude is 16s, like, obviously not 16, but like, Giro's son, like his son, but then like I think it showed that they had another kid, so I was just like, well, who was that then? Just interesting additions to the lore. Also, before I continue, check out this awesome shirt I have that I got in anticipation for this movie. Sick nasty stuff there. And just interesting concept that they were right away went for the idea. It's just like the Capsule Corps and just like Piccolo and Gohan, like Goku, Vegeta, like all of them, they're evil, trying to paint themselves as the superhero. Like, I get what they're trying to go for. Like, Magenta is, manipulating Hedo and the Gammas and all that. It just kind of right away just removed the thing of like, okay, well, I guess I have no sympathy for you. I mean, it's Red Ribbon, you're not meant to anyway. But all that transitioned right to Piccolo training Pan. There's an argument there like that could have just been the dynamic of this movie, Piccolo and Pan. Gohan, you can have him be there, but it's like, because I've seen the arguments just like you could remove Gohan from this movie and it wouldn't really change much other than the ending, obviously, but Even then, it's like you could just have it be Piccolo getting the win. My thing, it's like, no, Gohan needed to be a part of this movie. Pan's already making great strides in her training at only 3 years old. Okay, so she's 3, so this is at least a year or two after Broly, I'd say. This movie did an amazing job with Piccolo, because it's like, Piccolo's always been one of my favorites, and obviously he's Toriyama's favorite. With recent stuff, like going through Z and Super and all that, it's like, I've always just been missing just, you know, that older style of Piccolo. But this movie definitely brought it back. Definitely, after this movie, Piccolo shot up in my character ratings, I guess. I hope they keep this stride with him going forward into other things, and I hope it's just not for this movie. But right away we get introduced to the action for this movie, where Piccolo has his fight with Gamma 2 and introduces that dynamic right away. And I just love the line of Piccolo. It's just like, why can't I see his sound effects? Which we see later why that's the case, because he has a projector that shows wham, bam, and all those onomatopoeia. And that's another thing, the Gammas. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. I've seen everyone talk about it, it's just like they were the big takeaway characters for this movie, and it's like, why is this movie called Superhero? Well, it's not because of Piccolo or Gohan, it's because of Gamma 2. I mean, Gamma 2, I'd say more than Gamma 1. Like, Gamma 1 was cool, but Gamma 2, he stole the show. There's a couple things, like, with how, obviously, like, Piccolo got his power and all that, where it's like, when it happened, I was just like, oh no, Dragon Ball fans aren't gonna like this. Because with me, it's like, with Dragon Ball, it's like, they can introduce concepts just so long as it's not completely out of nowhere. I'm okay with it. So it's like, how Piccolo got his power up, Dende powering up Shenron, so now he can make 3 wishes and all that. It's like, I'm fine with all that. Of course, with my dumbass, when they did the wish for Piccolo to have his potential unlocked, it's like, when that happened, I was like, okay, so they're gonna use another wish to have that be on Gohan, so that way they do the beast thing later. But then I remember it's like, oh, no, duh. Like, Gohan's already had his potential unlocked twice. Once on Namek, and then another time by the Elder Kai. There's only so many times, I guess, you could have your potential unlocked. But yeah, going into the fight against the Gammas, it was amazing. And then that was the other thing, it's just like, there was the thing where Dende talked to Piccolo, and it's just like, you could just use one of the wishes to wish the Red Ribbon Army away. But your pride wouldn't let you do that, would you? It's like, man, Piccolo, you're not allowed to talk shit to Goku or Vegeta anymore, because it's like, all this happened because deep down you wanted a good fight, and you also wanted Gohan to have a good fight. That Saiyan pride has rubbed off on you a little bit too, hasn't it? There's kind of a twisted side to that, but it was funny at the same time, like Piccolo using Pan as a way for Gohan to just unleash more of his power, which that was awesome when Piccolo was like pretending to hold Pan up. And that caused Gohan to go into his ultimate form. I was like, oh man. It reminds me of, you know, how Frieza killed Paragus to have Broly go Super Saiyan in Broly. Using their family to get that Saiyan rage boost. And yeah, that fight between Gohan and Gamma 1 was pretty kick-ass as well. And also the rematch between Piccolo and Gamma 2. I kind of wish that there was like a tag team kind of thing going there, where it's like Gohan and Piccolo against Gamma 1 and 2. That one poster makes it seem like that's going to be the case, but it's like, no, they just have their 2 separate fights. I mean, it's still cool, especially when Piccolo, you know, unleashes his Orange Piccolo or Dragon God, whatever it's being referred to as. It's like, yeah, that was just amazing, and that transformation is beautiful. And that's now where I'll start talking about the 4DX of this movie, because my brother has seen other 4DX movies before, like he's seen some Mission Impossible movies and some action movies and whatnot. I have never experienced 4DX, so this was my first time, and man, what a first time it was, cause even my brother, like afterwards, he was just like, that was the most intense 4DX experience I've ever had. You felt every punch, every blow, just like, cause that was my concern going into this movie, was just like, seeing it in 4DX, just like, you know, I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, it's like, I want to watch the movie and experience it, but like, I just don't want anything to take away from it. And while this was definitely distracting at points, it's an experience that I absolutely loved, because you truly felt like you were a part of every battle. And after, like, there's a calm in the battle, and it's like, you are also like like you're out of, like, both, like, me and my brother just like, man, I get what they're going through, man, because it's like, holy shit. It is a roller coaster from start to finish. When people are getting spun and thrown, you're getting spun and thrown, like we're almost getting launched out of our seats. You get punched, you feel it, the things in the back going like when Piccolo went into his form and he did like that first punch on Gamma. You felt that. This movie established and just talked about a lot of different like little things that have happened over the course of the series. Piccolo throwing Gohan the Senzu Bean and he doesn't catch it. And then Gohan's just like, I can't see well without my glasses. Okay, so that's why Gohan couldn't catch the Potara back in the Buu saga. It's like his eyesight was shit. That was just interesting as well, just seeing Gohan fight as a Super Saiyan with his glasses. Very Superman-esque. Before all that, I forgot to talk about just the stuff on Beerus' planet with Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. That was amazing. Like, I was scared a little bit, just because I was like, I was worried that was going to be too out of place. I mean, I get they needed to show that, one, because obviously you have to have Goku and Vegeta in your Dragon Ball movie in some capacity, but also, two, if it would, like, change the tone a little too much, because it's, like, you know, being very Piccolo heavy with, like, his espionage stuff, and then Goku and Vegeta training with gods. You know, it worked. It was funny, you know, especially seeing Beerus be horny for Chilai. I mean, that one was done tastefully. It wasn't, like, Master Roshi level of stuff. It was just pretty much Beerus being like, you know what, you're cute. And that was it, but it's some nice development for Beerus, him being more relaxed. I mean, after the tournament of power and everything, I'm sure he's a little more lenient with the mortals, seeing Goku, Vegeta, and Broly just all training. I like the stuff with Goku and Broly. It's just like Broly was starting to power up. It's just like, yo, Broly, relax. They're just trying to control Broly's rage and all that. That is the thing about the time skip, though. Is like, I kind of wish we could have seen Goku asking Whis if Broly could come train with them and bring in Chilai and Lemo. So I think that would have been interesting. I mean, I don't think Whis would have cared. Plus, Beerus was asleep, so. But then the thing I loved was Vegeta's, what it looks like. He's incorporating a lot of Jiren's fighting style with him, and I loved that they touched on that. Like Vegeta talking about Jiren's fighting in the tournament. I will say that, like, when he was talking about just like he was letting go, fighting on instinct, it's just like, yeah, Goku did that too. That Ultra Instinct. Maybe it's like, where does this exactly fit on the timeline? It's like, is Moro and Granola canon yet? Has that happened? Does Vegeta know Ultra Ego at this point? But I like that Vegeta is still, 'cause that's one thing he learned from Whis in Super, is just like, you need to learn to relax a bit, learn to let go. That's one thing I loved about in Super, it's just like Vegeta's change in fighting style. Because, like, you know, he would always go to his classic style of, like, you know, doing that. Then in Super, he would always just, like, you know, slump his arms down and just, like, relax. He did that against Hit in the tournament. He did that against Goku Black. It's like, I always loved when he did that. Because I do like that about the Goku and Vegeta dynamic. It's like, while Goku sees a fight as a way to improve himself in the moment, as well as just a strong opponent to maybe fight in the future, Vegeta learns from, well, his ass beatings, because that is what happens. Cool concept, and then that leads to a pretty cool fight between Goku and Vegeta. I will say that it was kind of blue-balled, where it's just like it could have been a three-way fight between Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, but it's just like, yeah, you don't want Broly blowing the place up, which I get it. And plus, you know, Goku, Vegeta, it's a classic. And plus, it was them just like, alright, you only get to fight in your base form, and you can't use, like, big attacks or anything. I was like, alright, taking it back to the roots. There was a couple little things in that fight as well that I noticed. It was like, okay, Vegeta did a grab the leg and spin, just like Jiren did to him in the tournament, and Goku like rear naked choked Vegeta, like what Majin Vegeta did to him in their fight, and tried to like slam him into the ground just like that fight. Again, a lot of little things I noticed where I was just like, ooh, good detail. But that led to the funny end credit scene with Vegeta winning. I just love that. She's like, I finally beat Kakarot. Ugh. When I saw it, I was just like, okay, Naruto, Sasuke. Just, you know, the slow punches and just out of breath and everything. And of course, Broly and Lemo crying, just like, oh, so manly. Anyway, going back to all the stuff happening on Earth, I liked that it ultimately became that Gamma 1 and 2, they weren't evil. Like, they never were evil. They were just, you know, following orders. They were just trying to be heroes for what they believed was right. And that, of course, transitioned to the Cell Max fight. That's another thing I'll say. Since I'm, you know, a huge Dragon Ball fan, I'm involved in a lot of, like, communities in Dragon Balls. I follow a lot of fan pages and whatnot. So when it comes to new stuff coming out, like I learned from Broly, it's like, I'm gonna be spoiled on stuff. Stuff like Piccolo's God transformation, Beast Gohan, Cell Max. I knew about all that before this movie. But that was one thing I did take away from Broly, though. It's like, despite the fact that for Broly, I knew about Gogeta and, you know, the God transformations and all that, it didn't take away from seeing it on the big screen and experiencing it, especially again for this 4DX experience, because I felt all of it. The rough things I knew about Cell Max with his design and just his place in the story, I was just like, I mean, okay, it makes sense, but like, but then seeing it on the big screen, it's like, okay. Because this is truly one of those movies where it's just like, I don't know if it's going to translate too well to just watching it at home. When Cell Max just erupts, just comes in and roars, you feel just how massive he is.
That's what she said.
It's like you feel that sense of scale. It's like he's big, like he's powerful. It was good that they put him in his semi-perfect form instead of like his perfect form, because you know his perfect form, it's sleek, it's elegant, it's pristine, but his semi-perfect form is just, he's a brute, he's large, like he's just like when 18 and Krillin them showed up. I'm sure 18 had some PTSD seeing that, just like, Cell again? It's like, don't absorb me. And that was a cool thing as well, just like bringing in Krillin 18, Goten, Trunks, just everyone at that big battle at the end. Piccolo, Gohan, Gamma 1 and 2. Each one of them had their purpose. Especially Krillin at points. Krillin's always usually MVP, but it's like he had many points. It's like, one, he protected Bulma. He told Pan to fly, which pushed her to fly for the first time. And then he told Piccolo to get big. That was cool lore added to the giant Namekian thing again, because it's like, it's not like the Ozaru where it is a multiplier. But Piccolo's just like, it's just a bluff. Like, it's just, I get big and that's it. But it was just kind of a cool, you know, big versus big moment. But another thing was Gamma 2's sacrifice. That was one, just a beautifully done scene. It was just awesome. It's just Gamma 2, it's just like, he was the superhero of this movie. It kind of makes me sad. It's just like, are they just gonna Android 16 him and just not wish him back to life? Because is that a thing? You can't bring back androids even though they've wished back 18 and 17 before? I mean, it's cool that Dr. Hedo and Gamma 1 are still gonna be around. I get it's like consequences and whatnot, but it's like, come on, you could bring them back. But either way, that all gave way to the final fight with Gohan, and it gave way to an amazing transformation sequence. Like, because that was one thing I was worried about in this movie, is just like the Beast Gohan transformation. How are they gonna do that? It's of course the thing where it's like Gohan always has like that anger in him, that power that's just waiting to be unleashed. But it was amazing, and honestly, Kyle Herbe is such an amazing voice actor. Like, and that is one of the best screams as Gohan I've heard from him for, I'd say, since like that transformation he did against Kibito in the tournament. And plus him, you know, just like he did as a kid where he just like double kicked Semi-Perfect Cell. Then of course him doing Special Beam Cannon. Awesome. Amazing shit. Back to the 40X. When Piccolo was trying to hold Cell Max, the seats, when they were moving for that, it's like, it truly felt like you were struggling to hold on to something. Like, that was a moment where I was just like, geez, this is immersive. I was thinking like they were setting up for like how Goku sacrificed himself against Raditz, have that come full circle, and now Piccolo gets Special Beam Cannoned. I mean, while it paid homage to that, it didn't go all the way, but it was fine. We don't need Piccolo to die. Oh yeah, going back to the Gohan thing, I love that they did the good throwbacks all around. Plus his giant stretched out hair. I love all that. But yeah, overall, this movie was absolutely incredible. Because I know the thing with this movie, everyone was worried about like the CG. Like for me, all it took was the one trailer and I was just like, I'm sold. It looks great. I can't wait to see it. And now seeing it in action. Do I prefer the 2D style? Yes. Ultimately, I do prefer the 2D. But I love how they were able to mix 2D with 3D within this movie. I like that they tried it. They tried something new. I'm not gonna do a thing of which did I prefer this movie over Broly. It's like they're two separate movies. It's like they're the same series, but I don't think they should be compared. It's like, honestly, with these movies going forward, I kind of hope that they do like new things with each one of them, just so that they feel like their own kind of adventure, but in the same story. But overall, of course, what would I rate this movie? 10 out of 10, of course. It's a given pretty much. Like everything in Dragon Ball like ultimately falls under the 10 out of 10 umbrella, and I love it. This movie did amazing things for Piccolo, for Gohan, adding new characters like Gamma 1 and Dr. Hedo. Some great stuff with the lore, good stuff with Pan, good stuff with Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, despite them being in the movie for only a limited time. It really makes me look forward to when Super returns and just all the other movies that come out going forward. It's just an amazing time for Dragon Ball. It does make me sad though that the marketing for this movie was not done well, because there wasn't that much. It's like I only saw one English dub trailer, whereas with all the trailers for Broly and everything, I always saw the English versions of those trailers alongside the Japanese version. Again, I get with COVID and everything, like it kind of was rough. But it's like, come on, 20th Century Fox did such a good job with the marketing for Broly. Like, come on, Toei. step up your game. Like, I don't want to see this shit for when, like, your next movie or even when Super returns. It's like, I want to see marketing. It was still #1 movie in America, though, because of course it is. It deserves it, and I can't wait to see this movie again, because I definitely want to before it's out, it's gone, because anime movies never stick around long enough. Because plus it's probably going to be like a fucking year until it comes out on digital, so. Thus concludes pretty much this stint of Dragon Ball that has been happening. It is kind of weird, because again, like I've talked about in my last couple of videos, my ultimate binge I've been doing for these last 4 months, for me it's just been nothing but Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, all in anticipation for this movie. And now that this movie has come out, and I've seen it, and now this review is up, I'm just kind of in this place of like, alright, now what do I do? Because I'm now watching other things now that I've been wanting to watch, but it's like, now I just gotta wait again for the next Dragon Ball thing. This has been a great 3-episode thing, I guess, for this Dragon Ball journey I've been on. After this, I will be back to doing other things, not necessarily Dragon Ball related. Maybe I should switch over to My Hero, because I recently watched the 2 OVAs that came out for that, and plus season 6 is around the corner, you know? Maybe I should do a My Hero binge. Nah, I think I should stop with the binges for a while, because as much as I love Dragon Ball, that was a very consuming period of time, but all fun nonetheless. Thank you all for joining me on this review, and look forward to many other videos of many varieties that I will be posting soon. So until next time, I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching.